Hello, everybody. I want to talk to you about the ego and the balance of life. So, I've been thinking a lot lately about the balance of life and the ego, and what is your spirit and what is your ego. Like, what's driving you? Because we all are made to feel guilty if we want to do something that's apparently just going to inflate our head and it's going to be too big. It'll just fall off and top of your body onto the floor or something. But how to understand the difference and how to not carry the guilt about going to a better place in life. So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your motivation and your core values and what you believe in and what you stand true to and what you align to. So if you say to yourself, I really want to have lots and lots of money, have a big house, and be really rich and successful. Why? Why? Because you want to look cool? Because you want to have all of these things and have a really impressive house and validate yourself in some type of way? Because if you look at it on the face, it might seem kind of exciting and you're like, who wouldn't want to have all this stuff? But you have to kind of break it down, clear it out, and look at the core things that are motivating you from underneath. And then you'll find out if it's your ego or if it's something much more meaningful of your true essence. So if you strip all it off and then you find out that there's a small broken child that was never good enough, didn't have enough, and is craving this type of worth and love, then that's where it's coming from. And all of these things, money and a house and being successful, is not going to make you happy. It's just going to distract you in a much greater way and then make you feel more guilty and unfulfilled because you'll have too many things and it won't solve anything. You have to come back down to what's underneath. And that's kind of the trick that the ego plays on you. So I'm not going to go into what is the ego, things like that, because I don't really know all that stuff. I just know that there is a battle going on internally and it is all about the balance. So another example. So in the same situation, maybe you really want all that stuff because you know a lot of people close to you that you want to help support. You want to set up a meaningful charity or fund, or you want to do something with it and you're very concerned about being a provider. So it comes from a more humble, more genuine place where you're putting something out there and you're doing something good instead of just distracting yourself. That could be a much more meaningful reason. So the other thing, the more you get, the easier it is to get lost. So if you have nothing and you're treated like shit, of course it's easy to get lost in unhappiness and resentment. But anything good is kind of really exciting, you know, when you're just bored as hell and somebody gives you a really mundane, tiny little toy or anything, and you're like, wow, this is so cool, because you were just bored as hell. So it's easier to kind of stay grounded. Whereas when you start to go into a much bigger world where you can do all of these things and you're seen as like untouchable or a big person, then it's very easy for that to just lift you up and away to a different place. And so you really need to keep the balance. That's why everything's about balance, and stay grounded. And it's kind of like the quote that so many people I know are really into from Spider-Man, great power comes great responsibility. It's true. So if you have too much, it can easily take you to a different place. So it's a great responsibility to stay grounded and true to what's really important in life, and not to let the ego swoop in and masquerade as being something that is not. Because it's easy for people, you see it with people that are really, really spiritual, and they start off really humbly, and then they start to get a big following, and then they start to get all these expectations and jazz it up a bit, and then they set up their foundations, and then they start to charge like hundreds and thousands for people to come and like discover themselves and have this true understanding and peace and all that spiritual stuff in life. And it's like, hang on, why is it only rich people then? Why has it become like an elitist, inequality driven thing to be the opposite and completely spiritually free and aware and enlightened from all of these material bonds? So you have to wonder if this spirituality is now being hijacked and worn by the ego. So you have to really keep balance from both ends. You have to keep the side of you that's going up and growing really firmly rooted and grounded. You know, have those good people in your life that are just kind of laughing at you and saying, what the hell are you doing? Don't forget that silly, the way you acted like a twat that time, or, you know, just those funny things that just bring you back down to earth, that will always tell you if it's good or if it's not, and if it's actually meeting like just the foundation of how you should be. People that you know are true to their values, that you respect and admire, and you know they're not scared to tell you the truth. Not just people that will say yes to everything and you're so amazing. And this is really important at every moment of your life, whether you, just how you are as a person. I just use the example of a house and money because it's quite relatable for a lot of people. I've met a lot of people, a lot of younger people around Vietnam, and I was like, what do you want to do when you grow older? And they were like, make a lot of money, because it's cool, you know, you can do a lot with it. And I guess the culture, the pop culture, glorifying things like that, and just, you don't even need that. It's a high expectation of our culturally driven societies everywhere now, and you have to really ask yourself why you want that stuff. You have to think, am I going to make the world a better place by chasing and wanting to become bigger and better and get this and get that and more accomplished? Is it because I'm going to do something with it? Or is it because I'm going to feel too proud and too impressive to say to everybody, oh, I did this and I studied this and I worked this and I've got this, and I can get anything I want and I have all of this knowledge? And it's like, for what? I've met the most genuine, inspiring, true people that aren't in this rat race. They've done what is true to them to go to where aligns with them and what is the most meaningful thing in their life. And then from that, other opportunities have come and they've met people, they've inspired them and they've helped them and they've grown. To just facelessly chase things because you feel like you should do it, or it's going to compensate, because a lot of it will come down to maybe compensation. And there's nothing wrong to do things if it helps you grow and you feel inspired or an urge to do something more, go ahead. But the best thing you can do in life is to lead by example. Think to yourself, what is the most important thing in life that I want to revolve my life around? Because you've got many things, like imagine a spinning wheel. You can choose money, you can choose love, you can choose other values, hatred, you could choose any type of value or make anything up. And the moment that you put that as the center focus of your life, that's what you're going to orientate everything around. So it doesn't mean, like all of us, we don't want all of these other things, but you have to think what is truly going to make you happy, because these other things can easily come from this. Or maybe they don't, and you realize that that's not even that important. So that's what you have to get in touch with, because we all can either decide we don't give a shit and we just want to do what's best for us, and we're a little bit hateful of how horrible the world is and all this stuff. Or we can go the other way and think, I need to change the world and make it a better place, and go out of our way to do something so impressive. But at the end of the day, the most effective thing is if each of us just gets in touch with who we are deep down inside, uncovers it from any hurt and trauma, releases ourselves of all the pain, anger, or things that we're holding on to, and then just goes out into the world with a fresh set of eyes to see things from a good place, because that's how we're feeling. And then to do the things that align with that, the things that are what matter most to you, as much as you can, that are in line with your values. So if you say, I really, really want to help people, but then every time someone comes along, you're like, what the hell's wrong with you? And you just see something negative in them, you're not helping anybody. You're actually pushing out some type of hurt or anger onto the people, and that could have the butterfly effect on the whole world. So if that's what you really believe in, you should work on trying to see the beauty in everybody, because it's like looking at a reflection, really. So if you start to actually get in touch with it, you can see how connected we all are. Think about the times when you've been most happy is often the time when you've shared it with somebody. The time when you feel the most love is when you're with people that really care about you, when they do the really small things, they remember that tiny detail that you didn't even remember telling them. They go, oh yeah, I know you always get a bit upset because of this day is when that happened or something, and you think, wow, nobody really cares about that. That's much more impressive than if somebody could just facelessly give you something. And in these small moments, we learn to trust people, we learn to connect with them. And it's that meaning that brings out the best in us. It's all about the meaning that gives you the quality in life, because if you feel like, what is this life about? You start to see the negatives. You think, I'm always swimming uphill against the current, and for what? You'll start to lose hope. But if you see that you're not alone, that you're swimming because you're swimming together as a group, and it's up to you. And that's kind of the point of the freedom that we have in our existence, is up to you to define your meaning, to get in touch with your true feelings, and to create that in your life. And that's kind of why I felt like just saying, I've become aware that a lot of people say about the things they want in their life, but then they don't embody, they don't become what it is they're seeking. So it's easy to get confused, to feel lost, and the interesting thing is different situations bring out different sides of us. So it always used to be, find who you really are. But actually, who you really are is all relative. It's like, what colour is my green sweater when the light's off? Pretty dark. Maybe even it's going to look a bit black. What colour is it with the lights beaming? Maybe you can see like a hint of yellow. It's all relative. It's just how it's reflecting, how it's appearing in a different setting. And that's how you are. That's why it's important who you put yourself around, what you watch, what you eat, what you do. everything is becoming a part of you. Everything's connected. It's like, I mean, you won't think about it if it's a baby. If somebody had a baby and they were getting really sick and you said, oh, what are you feeding them? And somebody said, oh, I've just been feeding them sugar and flour. Think, what's wrong with you? Where's all the nutrients? Why would you do that to your baby? Of course your baby's sick, or your baby's unhappy. What's wrong with it? Oh, I've just been shouting it every time I feel angry about some past thing that I don't even want to face, so I just throw my anger out on this baby. Of course it's going to get traumatized. And yeah, when we reach a certain age, somehow we're taught to disassociate ourselves from that, and we cut off from it, and we don't realize, oh, I'm eating crap so I have no energy. Oh, I'm just running away from my feelings and just getting frustrated with everybody and everything instead of facing them. So I'm just shutting down myself and just traumatizing that child again. I'm just putting out more negativity and hatred into the world. So actually it's just the same. There's so many things that we would think are quite given and obvious and kind of absolute common sense in one situation, and then when it comes to a certain point or a certain age and bringing it back to ourselves, suddenly we've disconnected ourselves from it. And it's kind of crazy that this has become a norm. I mean, think about the fact that people have to try and pick apart animals and brutally do all these crazy things to them just to decide, do animals have feelings? Do they care? How could you ever ask? I mean, I bet there's at least one type of animal that you like. Is it a cat, a dog, a horse, a little bunny rabbit, a crazy, mean, burly animal because they're cool, elephant, tiger, whatever it is. You know, imagine if you have a pet especially, or just one that somebody else had, how they come and just kind of lie on you, put their head on your lap, and they seem very intuitive about your feelings. What happened to people that it was ever commissioned or allowed for that question to be asked and then investigated? And if you kind of just sit with that for a moment, absorb this idea, really ask yourself that question, maybe you can start to understand why you feel lost, disconnected, or confused about the world we're living in. Because that's what we've been doing to ourselves for all of this time. So in your own way, however it floats your boat, you have to get back in touch with that and with each other, us. It's not a you and I, it's we. So yeah, that's it really. As you can see, I'm a bit indoors but outdoors. Got all the windows open, rocking a bit of wind. So it's chilly. Not my weather, but it's all good. So I hope you're having a good day too. See ya.